In this city, money does not make noise. It silences it. Suleiman Abubakar understood that morning as he arrived. The beautiful Maitama estate gates felt less like a home and more like a decision. He wore his best clean white shirt and a black tie. Yes, they were clean. And in a city like this, clean could pass for confidence if your shoulders didn't shake. A uniformed guard approached, looking at his ID card as if Sule were a bag left unattended in a crowded park. Name? The guard asked, not unkindly, but not warmly either. Suleiman Abubakar. I'm here for an interview, driver position. Sule's voice came out steady. He had practiced that steadiness the night before when his mother called and prayed too loudly into the phone, as if prayer could also serve as a bodyguard. The guard verified his name on his ID card, then tapped his radio, and the gate opened with a quiet, mechanical sigh. Sule stepped in and felt something shift, like crossing from one Abuja to another. Outside was the Abuja of honking taxis, pure water sellers, and people who looked at your shoes before greeting your face. Inside was a different version of the city, with quiet lawns, obedient flowers, where even the breeze seemed trained. Quieter, colder, controlled. A black SUV waited near the driveway. Another guard stood beside it, expressionless. Far ahead, there are many other mansions with glass walls and stone pillars, a mixture of modern pride and old intimidation. But it wasn't the mansion that caught Sule's attention. It was the markings. On the inside pillar of the gate, half hidden beneath fresh paint, were faint carved lines, symbols shaped like interlocking triangles, and a circle cut into 4. It looked like something someone did in a hurry and then tried to cover. Sule didn't understand the meaning, but he understood the intention: protection. He glanced away quickly. In Abuja, you learn early that not every secret wants to be seen. Then she appeared, Mrs. Jane. Suleiman Abubakar, she asked. Yes, ma. I'm Mrs. Jane, Chief of Staff of the Zainab Halima residence. Sharp, composed, holding a tablet like authority itself. Follow me, she said, and keep your phone on silent. Inside, the air felt expensive. Staff moved softly, as if sound itself had boundaries. Mrs. Jane stopped in a corridor and faced him. This house has rules, she said. No personal conversations with Madame. No familiarity. No ambition disguised as loyalty. You will drive, you will wait, you will obey. Is that understood? I'm here to work, Sule replied. Her eyes lingered on him, measuring. Good, she said finally, because Madame Zainab Halima does not forgive foolishness. Somewhere deeper in the house, beyond the quiet and the glass, Sule felt the presence of a woman he had not yet met, one whose words could change a man's life without raising her voice. They seated him in a waiting room that looked like it cost more than his monthly rent. A broad-shouldered man with a trimmed grey beard entered. I am Baba Idris, head of security. Sule stood quickly. Baba Idris raised a calm hand. Sit. Respect is good. Fear is unnecessary. He leaned forward slightly. You're applying to drive Madame Zainab Halima. Many want proximity to power. Few understand its weight. Sule nodded. Do you believe in destiny? Baba asked suddenly. Sule paused. I believe in God, and I believe choices matter. A small smile touched the older man's face. Good, he said, because choices matter here. The test took place in a garage lined with vehicles that looked untouched by dust. Which one would you choose? Mrs. Jane asked. The black SUV. Why? Because it blends, Sule replied. Too much attention can be dangerous. Mrs. Jane's eyebrow lifted slightly. Then the test began. Reverse parking between two expensive cars. A sudden horn blast from behind. A deliberate distraction. Sule did not flinch. His hands moved with controlled precision. When he finished, Baba Idris nodded once. Mrs. Jane's lips tightened, impressed despite herself. You drive like someone who has carried responsibility, Baba Idris observed. Sule exhaled. I've driven for families before, not like this, sir. Not like this, Baba Idris repeated, and his tone carried a warning, not a comment. Final question, Mrs. Jane said. If Madame asks you to do something morally wrong, what would you do? Sule's heart thudded. He understood the trap. Say I will obey and look like a fool with no principles. Say I will refuse and look like a rebel. And Abuja does not reward rebels. He chose the honest middle. I will speak respectfully, he said carefully. If she insists, I will step away from the job, but I will never embarrass her. Mrs. Jane nodded. Silence held the air. Baba Idris looked away first, like he didn't want Sule to see approval on his face. Mrs. Jane turned to Sule. Wait here. As she walked away, Sule's gaze drifted to the corner of the garage where a small object lay near the driver's seat of the black SUV. A tiny leather charm. Sule was shocked, and for a strange reason, he felt cold in his stomach, as if that charm had been waiting for him specifically. That day, Sule got the job. The news came without celebration. Mrs. Jane returned, handed Sule a small card and a set of instructions, and said, You start tomorrow at 6 a.m. No excuses. Keep your life clean. That night, Sule didn't sleep well. Not because of excitement. Abuja had taught him that too much excitement invites misfortune, but because of the charm he had seen earlier in the day. He told himself it was nothing. Maybe a previous driver dropped it, or maybe a guard was superstitious, he muttered to himself. In Nigeria, even educated people sometimes respected what they couldn't explain. But still, why did his stomach tighten like a rope? He couldn't explain it. At 5:30 a.m., Sule arrived early. The sky was still grey, and Maitama was quiet, in the way only rich neighborhoods can be. He met Baba Idris by the gate. You keep to time, Baba said. Good. Sule nodded. At exactly 6 o'clock that morning, the front door of the mansion opened. Zainab Halima stepped out. She wasn't tall, but her presence was tall enough. Her hair was neatly covered in a simple hijab scarf. Her face calm, her lips set like she had made peace with never being understood. Her eyes swept the environment the way generals sweep a battlefield. For a brief second, her gaze landed on Sule. Sule dropped his eyes respectfully. Morning, Zainab said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it didn't need to be. It carried a kind of finality that made people obey before they even agreed. Good morning, ma, Sule replied. Mrs. Jane reminded Zainab of her schedule that morning. Moments later, Zainab entered the back seat of the car. The door closed. Move, Mrs. Jane instructed. Sule drove. At a traffic light in Wuse, Abuja, a woman in a red dress crossed the road slowly, staring into the car like she was trying to confirm a rumor that hadn't been told yet. Sule felt it. Abuja's eyes. They didn't know his name, but they would remember his face. At another junction, Sule noticed a black Prado behind them. It stayed too close, turned when they turned, slowed when they slowed. Sule's pulse quickened. He checked the mirror again. Zainab's voice came from the back seat, calm, as if she had been watching too. Don't panic, she said softly. Just drive well. Sule swallowed. Yes, ma. And in that moment, he understood something important. This woman lived with danger like others lived with sunlight. And now, he had entered that world, where Abuja watched but pretended it didn't. He drove to a tower in the central business district where Zainab Halima's company, Halima Group, took up several floors. The building looked like it had been designed to intimidate. When he stopped, a convoy formed quickly behind him. Sule felt the weight of it. In Abuja, even movement is a statement. At Halima Group, people moved in suits like they were born inside elevators. Sule parked exactly where Mrs. Jane indicated. Mrs. Jane stepped out first, scanning the environment. Then the car door opened, and Zainab Halima came out with calm precision. Not rushed, not slow, just controlled, whilst on a phone call. Her eyes didn't wander like most people. They measured. As she walked
toward the entrance, staff members greeted her with the kind of respect that wasn't admiration, more like fear, dressed in politeness. "Good morning, Ma," she nodded, without pausing. Sule followed at a respectful distance, but close enough to move if anything happened. Inside, the air was cooler than outside, the kind of cold that made you aware of your own poverty. Zainab entered the private elevator. Mrs. Jane followed. Sule waited behind. When the elevator doors slid shut, the receptionist turned to Sule and smiled, too brightly. "New driver?" she asked. Sule gave a small nod. "She doesn't keep drivers long," the receptionist said quietly. "If you like your piece, do your work, and disappear." Sule forced a polite smile. "Thank you." The receptionist leaned forward. "People think Madam is wicked, but you'll learn something. Abuja does not forgive women who are richer than men." Sule pretended he didn't hear the last sentence. In his experience, when people tell you a truth too openly, it means that truth is dangerous. Before he could reply, Mrs. Jane returned. "Madam wants you in her office," she said, as if that was a normal sentence. The office was quiet, floor-to-ceiling windows, no clutter, no softness. Zainab sat behind her office desk, reviewing documents. She did not look up immediately. Sule stood where he was. After a moment, she lifted her gaze. "Suleiman." "Yes, Ma." "How long have you been driving professionally?" Zainab asked. "5 years, Ma, in Abuja and some interstate." Zainab's eyes narrowed slightly. "You speak well, Sule." Sule didn't know if that was praise or observation. "Thank you, Ma." Mrs. Jane shifted, clearly uncomfortable with any conversation that sounded even slightly personal. Zainab leaned back slightly and said to him, "I don't like noise. I don't like familiarity, and I don't like people who think my wealth is an invitation." Her voice remained soft, but Sule felt the steel beneath. "Are we clear?" "Yes, Ma." She studied him, a moment longer than necessary. Then she said something unexpected. "Your eyes don't beg." Sule's throat tightened. "I'm here to work, Ma." Something shifted, not a smile, but almost. "Good," she said. "Because the city watches, and it lies," she said, returning to her papers. That evening, after the last meeting, Sule drove Zainab back to Maitama, her residence. The convoy moved like a slow, expensive serpent through the city. He kept his focus forward, but he could feel Abuja's eyes on the tinted glass. Back at the mansion, the gates swallowed them into quiet luxury once again. Zainab stepped out of the vehicle. She paused briefly, as if listening to something only she could hear. Then she walked into the house without looking back. Sule exhaled. His shoulders loosened. "Driver?" a voice said behind him. He turned and found Baba Idris standing under a pillar light. The old man's face was calm, but his eyes carried weight. "Yes, sir." Baba Idris motioned for him to come closer. "Walk with me." They moved slowly along the driveway. Sule noticed again those faint markings on the gate pillar. This time, his eyes avoided them. Baba Idris stopped near the guard post. "You did well today," he said. "Thank you, sir," Sule replied. The older man studied him carefully. "You're not like the others." Sule kept his voice respectful. "I just want to do my job." The old man gave a slow nod. "That's what they all say." And then the city begins to talk. Then the money starts to shine. Then temptation begins to knock. Sule frowned slightly. "Sir, I don't understand." Baba Idris's voice lowered. "Listen carefully. Madam Zainab Halima is a powerful woman. But power attracts two things: hungry people and jealous spirits." Sule stiffened. "Spirits?" Baba Idris waved a hand as if brushing away the word. "Not the kind in movies. I'm talking about the spirit of envy, the spirit of competition, the spirit of why her and not me." Sule nodded slowly. Baba Idris continued, "There are people who have wanted her and people who want her to fail. Some want her body, some want her name, some want her company." He paused. "And some want her to remain lonely so they can control her." Sule looked toward the mansion. Lights glowed behind glass walls. The house looked peaceful, but Baba Idris spoke like a man guarding a battlefield. "So why are you telling me this?" Sule asked. "Because you're close," Baba replied, "and closeness is dangerous. You will hear things, you will see things, and the worst part," he lowered his voice, "sometimes you will feel something for her before you even know it has started." Sule's chest tightened. "Sir," Baba Idris raised a hand, "I'm not accusing you, I'm warning you. Madam doesn't smile because she has paid too much for her peace. People can pretend to love her, but love is expensive. It costs discipline." Sule's voice came out quieter. "I understand." Baba Idris patted his shoulder once. "Good. Now go and rest." As Sule walked away, he looked back once. Baba Idris was still standing there, watching the house, like a man who knew something the rest of them didn't. And Sule realized, in this job, the car wasn't the only thing he would be driving. He would be driving through hearts, reputations, and the kind of Abuja drama that could swallow a man whole.
In this city, power is never attacked directly. It is surrounded, and by sunrise, someone would make the first move.